week 3 of the NFL season has started, I wanted to go through and give you my week 3 picks, and hopefully I do a little bit better than last week, which was not great. But before we get into the video, I wanted to take a second to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, really helps out. If you're a fan of the NFL, you'll love this channel, as we release multiple NFL-related videos every Thursday and Saturday all year long. Now, let's get back to the video. Okay, so I'll start by eating my crow. I picked bad last week, and I mean really, really bad. Vegas wasn't much better. Vegas only went 8-8 on the week. A lot of upsets in week 2, but yeah, I did not call upsets at all, and I lost a lot of the favorites I picked. It was a bad week. We're hoping that week 3 is a little bit better for me. And so we're going to start out week 3 by picking the Giants and the Browns, and this is not the most exciting matchup. I mean, at least the 2023 version of the Browns were a good team and Joe Flacco was fun. But now the Browns are just boring. The Giants don't have Saquon. This is not a matchup I'm going to be paying attention to at all on Sunday. But I do trust the Cleveland Browns defense a lot more than I trust anything on the New York Giants. So I'm taking the Browns to win this one at home. At the very least, the Browns have shown they're able to, win a game. The Giants have lost to the Commanders and the Vikings. At least the Browns were able to beat the Jaguars. I don't know if that's saying much this year, but it's something. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears visiting the Indianapolis Colts, two teams that I had much higher thoughts of at the beginning of the season. But the Bears are 1-1 and not a very good looking 1-1, with their only win coming against the Titans, where Caleb Williams threw for 93 yards. That's it. And then the Colts are 0-2. Yes, their losses are to a little bit tougher competition in the Green Bay Packers and the Houston Texans, but I still expected a little bit more from the Indianapolis Colts, especially given that Packers team was without Jordan Love and had Malik Willis starting. So both teams have disappointed me a little bit. However, at least once this year, we've seen Anthony Richardson be able to make big plays, and we've seen a world where the Indianapolis Colts can score points. On the other hand, we have not seen the Chicago Bears score any points. And given this game is in Indy, I'm giving Indy the edge, and I'm having them win this game. But it really is going to be a very good offense against a very good defense, and a very bad offense against a very bad defense. So, maybe it's evenly matched. After that, we have a battle of 2-0 clubs with the Houston Texans visiting the Minnesota Vikings. The Houston Texans have definitely surprised me. I will give the Houston Texans tons of credit. They have looked every bit as good, if not better, than most people expected in 2024. I mean, to be clear, it's still early in the season. It's 2 games, and they beat the Colts and the Bears by 1 possession each. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but they look good. On the flip side, I think the Vikings have shocked everybody, including myself. Yes, beating the New York Giants wasn't that impressive. But beating the San Francisco 49ers, yes, I know that Deebo Samuel got injured and they were missing Christian McCaffrey. But still, I did not have the Vikings doing that 2 straight years, because they did that in 2023 too. But at least then they had Kirk Cousins at quarterback. The Houston Texans are definitely favored in this game. But you know what? I'm going to give the edge to Sam Darnold and the Vikings. The Vikings offense has looked good, and I am not too sold on the Houston Texans defense yet. Their offense, yes, I'm sold. But the Vikings defense looks very good. And the Texans allowed nearly 30 points to the Colts, where Anthony Richardson only completed 9 passes. I mean, they barely did anything against the Titans, for crying out loud. So I think at home, the Vikings can pull off this upset. And I agree, this is an upset. But you know what? It's possible, so I'm calling it. After that, we have what actually might be a marquee matchup in week 3. The Philadelphia Eagles visiting the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are the talk of the NFL town. Derek Carr has scored points on every possession he has been at quarterback for the Saints this season. That's not like most. That's every one. That is insane. The only possession the Saints haven't scored points are possessions when they're sitting Derek Carr because they're up so much. He has been the best quarterback in the NFL thus far this season, and it's crazy to say that. I mean, I like Derek Carr. I like him a lot more than most people, but I never thought of him as that good. And on the flip side, you have a Philadelphia Eagles team that, at least offensively, looks quite competent, though defensively leaves a little bit to be desired. And so the Saints are favored in this game primarily because they dominated the Cowboys, who have a pretty good defense and are usually neck and neck with the Eagles just this past week. And they're at home. And I understand why the Saints are favored, and they probably should be favored, but I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game. That doesn't mean I'm cheering for the Eagles. I am cheering for the Saints. I would love to see this Saints team somehow be super good. It would be hilarious. It would be one of the craziest stories in recent NFL history. But I just feel like the Eagles are going to come back after losing to the Falcons at the last second this past week, manage to get something to work. Again, I'm also not too sold on the Saints yet, because one of these two dominant weeks was literally beating up on the Carolina Panthers, and the other week was beating up on the Cowboys, who every 3 weeks someone beats up on the Cowboys. You never know who it's going to be. You never know when it's going to be. But the Cowboys shit the bed. This is what they do, and maybe last week was just a Cowboys shit the bed week. So I need one more week before I say the Saints are that team. And until I know that, I'm gonna take an upset and pick the Eagles. And it's only partially because I need to get some upset wins to, overcome Vegas. And maybe this is the gambler's fallacy and I'll fall further behind. Following that, we have probably one of the most shocking 2-0 matchups of all time, really. The Chargers visiting the Steelers. These two teams, I don't think anybody expected to do much. I mean, the Steelers, we all expected to finish, 9-8, because that's just what Mike Tomlin do. But the Chargers were not supposed to be a very good team, and the Steelers were not totally supposed to be 2-0 at this point in time. But both teams look decent. Both teams look like they figured their stuff out. They both have an identity, which is, for the Chargers, just run. J.K. Dobbins had 17 carries against the Panthers last week, and didn't even have the most carries on his team. And as for the Steelers, play defense. That's it. Play defense. George Pickens kind of looks good too when he actually gets the ball and doesn't get penalties. But again, play defense. That's the Steelers' game plan. I thought I had figured out how to pick Steelers last week. I said, I think the Steelers will win, which means they lose. And they won. So maybe I don't know how to pick Steelers, and I really don't. So you know what? I basically just flipped a coin. Not actually, but I'm picking the Steelers. I guess I think the Steelers are a better team here. I just find it shocking that there's even a chance the Chargers could go 2-0. I love Jim Harbaugh, but I'm not sure if Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins can take advantage of this Steelers defense. And the Steelers will somehow put up, 15 to 18 points and win a low-scoring game. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers look like one of the best teams in the NFL. Not quite, but they're 2-0. They look good. They've had some good wins under their belt. They beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit in week 2. That's a very good win. And I'm not just saying that as a Lions fan. I think most people would chalk that up as a pretty darn good win. The Broncos are starting Bo Picks at quarterback. Now, again, Bo Picks doesn't have a lot going for him. He doesn't have a great offensive line, doesn't have a ton of amazing weapons. Like Josh Reynolds is probably his best receiver at this point in the season, and their running game leaves a ton to be desired. So I'm not blaming Bo Nix too much, but come on. This is a Buccaneers win at home in this matchup. To me, it's clear, and I'm putting this down as my lock of the week. After that, we have the Green Bay Packers visiting the Tennessee Titans, and I know Malik Willis is expected to be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Can anybody say revenge game? But what shocks me is that the Tennessee Titans are favored in this game. Even if it is Malik Willis, we've seen Will Levis throw away 2 games already this season, and the Green Bay Packers have looked very good. They beat a team that I think should be better than the Tennessee Titans in the Indianapolis Colts this past week, thanks to defense and a good running game. And Malik Willis still did his job. And so while the Titans are favored, I actually feel very confident picking the Green Bay Packers in this game. My other 2 upsets, sometimes you just got to call an upset. You got to just lick your finger, put it in the air and say, I think this is going to go the opposite way. This is not one of those games. To me, Green Bay should be favored here. I'm shocked they're not. I would bet even money on Green Bay to win this game and be happy about it. So yeah, I'm taking this. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers visiting the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders got a massive win this past week against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And this would usually be one of those games where after you upset a really good team like the Ravens, when you are a team like the Raiders, I'd usually pick you to lose that next week because you're coming off such a high. You're not totally preparing for the next week because you're still living in that moment. But the Raiders are playing the Panthers, and so Raiders win. After that, we have the Dolphins visiting the Seahawks, and I'm going to tell you, I spent probably 5 to 10 minutes going back and forth on who wins this game. If Tua were healthy, it's clear. It's a Dolphins victory. I do not like the Seahawks this year. They are 2-0, but it is not a good 2-0. Like, they beat the Denver Broncos and the Patriots, and that Patriots win was in overtime. This Seahawks team does not look that competent, in my opinion, and even though it is in Seattle, I'd still take the Dolphins in this game if they had their full complement on offense. But they don't. They're likely going to be starting Skylar Thompson, and we did not see much good things out of Skylar Thompson in the third and fourth quarter on Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills. Now, they will have the long bye week, which is another reason why I would have typically picked the Dolphins in this game, thanks to playing on Thursday night last week. But I still don't know if that's enough time for Skylar Thompson to get in and get the offense figured out. And so, while this does feel like it should be a Miami Dolphins victory, I ended up siding with the home team because that's usually my tiebreaker when I can't decide, and the home team Seattle, so I'm picking the Seahawks, and my God, if the Seahawks go 3-0, that's absolutely insane. There's no way they should be able to go 3-0, but they may start 3-0. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions visiting the Arizona Cardinals, and this is another game I spent quite a bit of time looking at and trying to decide. I know, as a Lions fan, I should just be hard picking the Lions. But I really like the Cardinals this year, and the Lions have been a little underwhelming thus far in 2024. I hate to say it, I'm a Lions fan, and I think the Lions will get it together, but we barely beat a depleted Rams team in week 1. A team that the Cardinals, the next week, beat 41-10. Yes, I know at least at the start of the game, the Lions were playing against a full health Rams squad. But guess what? The Lions were up 17-3 when the Rams had basically everybody out, and the Rams still came back. The Cardinals look really good. The Lions, I'm a little disappointed in what I've seen thus far. And it's in Arizona. It makes it so obvious that this is a Cardinals pick. And I do think I would take the Cardinals if I was not a Lions fan. But I'm taking the Lions because my homerism won't let me not do it. I can't pick against the Lions in a game where the Lions are favored. But if I wasn't a Lions fan, I think I'd go Cardinals. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Dallas Cowboys. What seems like a must-win matchup for both teams, especially the Baltimore Ravens. The Cowboys are just trying to come back from a bad loss to the Saints, but at least they won in week 1. At least the Eagles have also lost a game, and your other two divisional mates are the Commanders and the Giants, who you don't need to worry about if you're the Cowboys, let's be honest. But the Ravens are 0-2, sitting 2 games back of the Steelers, who could very possibly win again this week. And while, yes, their biggest divisional rival, the Cincinnati Bengals, are also 0-2, the Ravens will need to do a fair bit, because if they lose this game and go 0-3, that's going to be tough to come back from, especially in an AFC where it's not even assured that 10 wins will be enough to make the playoffs, especially if you don't win the division. And while this game is in Dallas, and Dallas tends to play very well in Dallas, I'm still picking the Ravens to win this game. The Ravens just need to win this game. They know they need to win this game. I just can't fathom a world where the Ravens start this season 0-3. And so I'm picking the Ravens because of that. This team is going to be going all out in this game. And I'm not saying the Cowboys won't, but the Cowboys can cowboy. The Ravens are a team that I think is well enough coached and have a good enough culture in-house that they will figure things out and they will win this football game. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers playing against the Los Angeles practice squads, Rams. And it's what I've just said. The Los Angeles Rams are basically fielding a practice squad at this point in time. They've lost Cooper Kupp. They've lost Puka Nacua. They've lost 4 or 5 offensive linemen. It is just an injury cavalcade for the Los Angeles Rams. And while the San Francisco 49ers are not a very healthy team either, I mean, they're missing Christian McCaffrey, they're probably missing Deebo Samuel, Ricky Pearsall is still out after getting, shot in the preseason. They're still missing a ton, but it's still gotta be the 49ers winning this game. They might be on the road, but they are healthier, not healthy, healthier, and they're just a really good team. Again, the Rams lost 41-10 against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I like the Arizona Cardinals this year, but the 49ers are still a better team than the Cardinals. And so, even though they're on the road as opposed to the Cardinals who are at home, I don't see a world where the 49ers can't figure their shit out and win this game, even though they lost last week. But again, the Vikings just always beat the 49ers now, apparently, so c'est la vie. After that, we move to Sunday Night Football, where for the second week in a row, the Atlanta Falcons are getting a primetime game, playing host to the Kansas City Chiefs. And while the Atlanta Falcons were able to make a massive comeback victory against the Eagles on Monday Night Football in week 2, I'm just going to give it away. They are not going to have that magic again. They are going to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not saying anything bad about the Falcons. They look good on Monday Night Football. They are not a bad team. But the Kansas City Chiefs will play much better defensively against the Falcons. They will not let Bijan get a bunch of big, long runs, and they will shut down Darnell Mooney on big plays and Drake London on the out routes. And then, Patrick Mahomes will just do what he needs to do to score to guys like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. Yes, the Chiefs are missing Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco. And I know Travis Kelce is actually playing, but come on, he's missing in action until the playoffs. We all basically know that's what the Chiefs are doing at this point in time. I mean, Noah Gray almost has more yards than him, so don't expect much from Travis Kelce, but the Chiefs have enough weapons, enough options, and they have, Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to win this game on primetime Sunday Night Football. And our second last game of the week is the Jaguars visiting the Bills on Monday Night Football, and you heard me right, our second last game of the week, because the NFL has decided to do one of my biggest pet peeves, have multiple Monday Nighters. NFL, look at me, NFL. We don't want this. Nobody wants 2 Monday night games. I know, we all know, sometimes Monday Night Football is not very good, and people tune out of it, and you don't want that to happen. I get it, but we are all coming together to watch one football game. There is very few people who are all of a sudden tuning in because the other game is on as opposed to the first one. We're all football fans. A lot of people are degenerate gamblers, and a lot of people have their fantasy matchups riding on the Monday Night Football game. Just make it one game. Don't do 2. For the love of God, stop this. Okay, sorry, my rant is over. Now let's get into the game. The Jaguars thus far this season have been a pretty big disappointment. Trevor Lawrence has not looked very good. Doug Peterson's days in Jacksonville may be numbered, especially after their late season collapse in 2023. I would not be surprised if he doesn't make it through the season if this trend continues. And on the other side of the football, the Buffalo Bills look elite. I know a lot of people had the death of the Buffalo Bills coming after what happened during the offseason, but the Buffalo Bills beat a Cardinals team barely, but a Cardinals team that looks pretty damn good after week 2, and then absolutely destroyed the Dolphins. And yes, Tua got injured that game, but if you watch that game, the Bills were destroying the Dolphins well before Tua got injured, and the Bills are going to be off the mini-bye, seeing as they played this past Thursday, and they're going to wait all the way till Monday to play their next game. And so it should shock nobody that I'm picking the Bills in this game. And I almost made this the lock of the week for me. And our final game of the season is the Commanders at the Bengals. And again, NFL, look at me. You really felt you needed another primetime game that was Commanders at Bengals? Nobody wants to watch this game. Even Bengals and Commanders fans don't want to watch this game. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but Bengals fans don't start paying attention to the NFL until what, like October when their team starts playing? And Commanders fans, I mean, they're just sad. They don't want to watch Monday Night Football. They're just sad. Okay, again, sorry, I went back on a rant. It's over. Let's analyze the game. The Commanders at least have one good thing going for them. Jaden Daniels actually looks like a pretty competent and capable rookie quarterback. His matchups thus far were against a depleted Buccaneers secondary and a Giants team, though, so the Bengals may be a bit of a harder challenge for the Commanders to overcome, at least in terms of their offensive output. But Jaden Daniels is far and away the best looking rookie quarterback thus far. And I mean, that's more a comment on Bo Nix and Caleb Williams than it is Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels looks decently good. He looks startable. On the flip side, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who can't seem to get out of their own way in September, like ever. And so while they are favored to win this game, and Vegas actually has this as the biggest odds difference, meaning Vegas' lock of the week is the Cincinnati Bengals, it is not a sure thing the Bengals win this game. Remember, the Bengals lost to the Patriots in Cincinnati on opening weekend. This Bengals team can fuck it up and may fuck it up still. But that doesn't mean I'm not still picking them. At the very least, I think the Patriots have a pretty good defense compared to the Commanders, who I do not think have a very good defense at all. And so the Bengals should be able to at least put up points in this game, and I think the defense can do what they need to do to hold the Commanders at bay, but I do expect this to be a closer game than Vegas says it should. And so that's it for my picks. Here is a summary of all my picks, including my lock of the week, which is the Buccaneers at home versus the Broncos. Here's hoping I do better than my 6-10 performance last week, because that was absolutely pathetic. I am upset with myself. I remember last year I was beating Vegas for the majority of the season, but this year's just not looking so hot early on. Don't worry, we're gonna make a comeback. I'm making it happen. I'm willing it into existence. We're gonna do it. And comparatively, you can now see who Vegas has as their picks this week. Only 3 differences. Hopefully I can overcome Vegas to a little bit based on these 3 games. Here's hoping. Come on now, we can do it. But we're gonna have to wait until next week to see what actually happens. That's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave a like and comment down below. Help us out, help us grow. I hope you enjoy this week's slate of games, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!